Okay, today we're going to talk about what's been on the headline news if you pay attention to real estate. But if not, I'm going to break it down for you anyways because it is quite important to future land rights in BC. So imagine waking up and checking your email and finding there's a letter from the city of Richmond telling you that your land title may be affected in a recent court decision. That's what's been happening. That's a situation some Richmond homeowners are facing after a major BC court ruling that recognizes First Nation titles over parts of Richmond. Now, I'm going to break down what happened, why it really matters, and what this could mean for homeowners and buyers, not just in Richmond, but across BC. So let's get right into it. So the recent court decision found that approximately 7.5 square kilometers of land along the south shore of Richmond is actually First Nations land belonging to the Cowichan tribe. This area includes industrial zones, waterfront properties, and land with long-standing private property titles. The court said that the Indigenous titles to the land was never lawfully acquired, and because of that, later Crown-issued titles, including some private ownership titles, may be defective or invalid by law. So this is why the City of Richmond sent out letters and why homeowners are suddenly talking about it. For people that own homes in that area, this is confusing and emotionally, of course. You buy your home legally, you get your mortgage approved, you pay your property taxes, you follow the land title system, the same system everyone uses in BC and relies on. And then one day you receive a letter saying your land title may be impacted by an Aboriginal title decision. So here are what homeowners are asking. Can I lose my home? Can I still sell? Will banks still lend to me? What does this actually mean for my property value? All really fair and important questions because it changes fundamentally the sense of certainty people have about ownership in BC. And that's why this case is getting so much attention right now. Not only in BC, but in Canada. Now, to understand the decision, I'm going to explain simply how the BC land works. BC uses a system called the Torrens Land Title System, which is considered one of the strongest in the world. When your name is on the title, the law assumes you're the legal owner, but this is the key part. Aboriginal title is constitutionally protected right. It predates Canada, and when court finds that Aboriginal titles exist and was never extinguished, that title can supersede later Crown-granted titles. But up until now, major land from the Aboriginal cases have been mostly involving the government and land in rural areas and not private property in major cities. So that's what makes this Richmond situation so different and unprecedented. Now, the Cowichan tribes and the related nations argued this was a significant village site. They presented historical evidence, oral history, maps, and records showing their continuous connection to the land long before colonialization. After one of the longest trials in Canadian history, spanning 5 years, the judge agreed with the ruling, and the ruling states Aboriginal title exists in the area. Later Crown grants and private property titles within that area are legally defective. The nation also holds protective rights to fish that part of the Fraser River. Now the court did not say people will be removed from their homes immediately. It did not say properties must be surrendered, and it did not say bulldozers are coming and knocking everything down. But it does raise big questions about who ultimately holds authority over the land. So here's where things stand as of right now. The province of BC is appealing the decision. The city of Richmond is also supporting that appeal. Several other First Nations, including Musqueam, are also involved. Private landowners and companies are trying to join the case since they weren't directly represented during that trial. So this case is definitely far from over. It could take more years and may eventually reach the Supreme Court of Canada. But in the meantime, homeowners still own their homes, mortgages still stand, you can still sell and buy your property. Nothing changes overnight, but the thing is uncertainty, and that's what people are really reacting to and trying to figure out what the fallout of all this is. So here are 4 big takeaways here. One is Aboriginal title can overlap areas with private property. This is the first major case in BC where the court recognizes Aboriginal title in an urbanized area with existing private homeowners. 2, the land title system is really strong, but not absolute. Banks, investors, and homeowners obviously rely on certainty, and this decision shows that certainty has limits when Aboriginal titles exist. And number 3, more cases will come now. More than 90% of BC land based is under unresolved Aboriginal title claims, and other nations are watching this very closely. And number 4, policy is definitely going to shift. This will force governments to rethink how Indigenous titles, private ownership, and land governance intersect. So for now, if this is something you're worried about, here's what you can do. Pull a copy of your title. It costs a few dollars and can tell you who owns the property, what's the legal description, and what charges exist on the property. Number 2, check if your property is within the affected area. Number 3, speak to a professional for advice. And number 4, don't panic. No one is losing their homes yet, but this process will take years, and any eventual changes will involve compensation, negotiation, and co-management, and definitely legal clarification, not just sudden evictions. So as a buyer or investor, make sure you ask stronger questions during your due diligence. Are there Aboriginal title claims in this area? Is there ongoing litigation? And are there multiple notices or warnings out? Is this property on or near traditional village or riverfront lands? So don't be scared off with buying anything. We just need to understand BC's history and the legal landscape so you can make a really informed decision. So at the end of the day here, the Richmond land title ruling is bigger than real estate. It's really about two truths coming together. Number 1 is families and businesses who've lived on this land for generations, following all the rules and every system society told them to trust. But number 2 is First Nations whose land was taken without consent and who have fought for decades to get their rights recognized. Reconciling these truths is complicated, is definitely emotional, but it's definitely going to reshape how BC real estate and land governance is going to happen for decades to come. Thanks for watching. I hope that video helped explain some of this complicated situation. I'll see you at the next one.